on a more or less day-to-day basis.
Right.
It will be the head of trading, it might be the head of operations of the particular bookmaker. People
Right.
who have to understand what they can get from the trader
Right.
and how they're supposed to be using it.
Right.
On the technical side, I guess somebody who is like project manager or something like this, would definitely benefit, because it's really important for them to understand what kind of information they can receive from us and how they can use it. But somebody who is just a developer who is supposed to just set up something,
Right.
I don't think it will be necessary, because it goes into a lot of detail about betting, which probably with their background won't really be able to
Yeah.
understand. So one thing that we always mention as bet trader is, as we said, it driven by facts, is what really separates us from the rest of the industry. That we collect all the data we have, all the data we use and we send around, we collect it ourselves. We never really use any third parties. So when we send all the fixtures and all the odds updates, this is not information that we just receive from somebody and through our system we send it through. This is information we create, we collect by ourselves. And this is really very important and something that really differentiates from us. And also when we go into live on the next couple of days, we'll be talking about live scouting. So information we get from scouts we send on the venue, on a football match, and using a telephone device they just send all the information directly through us. These are people we employ directly, obviously as a freelancers, but we never use any third party or another company. Obviously through acquisitions we're able to do this, because there are companies who do something. Like a good example is a company we acquired in Wales last year, where they were very good in snooker and darts, for example. It's a product that we wanted to offer, and we acquired this company. This way we're able to offer the same quality we do for the rest of the sports, not just relying on a sort of communication with another company. We take the company and then we can make them part of BetTrader, so they're able to offer exactly what BetTrader does offer. So through this we're able to offer same information bookmakers, media, and through a collection of data we do in-house. As at least for the first part of this presentation, I want to present the life cycle of odds. This is the name of the product we call for pre-match. We call it life cycle of odds because, as you can see here, it includes the whole cycle. So event creation, odds suggestions, trading tools, and resulting. When we talk about event creation, these are all the fixtures that we offer to bookmakers. So a bookmaker who subscribes with us will receive directly on their XML feed every single fixture from a particular league by us automatically through an XML feed. The next step after that is the odds suggestions. So it's one thing as a bookmaker to have the fixture, but then for all those fixtures you need to offer odds in order for people to be able to bet. So we do this as well. The reason we call this product odds suggestions, not odds, is because some of the bookmakers just use it as a reference, some other use it directly, but I will go through that in detail. Then moving on to the third part is trading tools. I said mainly monitoring and supervision, where we give the tools for bookmakers to check what the rest of the market offers, and through that they can make changes on the odds that we send them, because it's important to obviously know what BetTrader sends to you. But if you really want to be an individual bookmaker who really pays attention to the rest of the market, want to have a unique offer, want to be the best price on the market in a particular league, if you're, for example, Italian bookmaker, you want to have a very good offer in Serie A. This way we offer the trading tools, they can see what's going on in the rest of the markets, and through that they can change the odds a bit and really have a very unique product. And closing the circle with resulting, which is very important as well, because you might be able to find the fixture, you might be able through traders on your team to create odds, but then you also have to have the results. If you result the fixture incorrectly, then the whole process is really a waste, because even if your odds were perfect, if the score is incorrect, then people will still complain and you will lose money. So the unique thing that BetTrader does is we take care of this whole cycle with the same XML feed, the same IDs, same everything. So using this XML feed for one particular fixture, you can get the fixture with the team names and the date and time correctly, that keeps getting updated, the odds and the odds updates, some trading tools in case you want to make any changes and see what your competition offers, and also results. So there are bookmakers who offer a particular fixture throughout 2 or 3 weeks, and they never really have to touch it at all. They just get the money, we do the resulting, they do the settlement, and that's done. So that's why some bookmakers these days, obviously not the bookmakers, the really big ones we all know, but some online bookmaker who wants to offer odds for a particular market, they're able to work with 5, 10, 15 people as a whole team, because they get most of the information directly from us. Even less, exactly, even less. Now, if we go into detail a bit, when it comes to event creation, so the creation of all those fixtures, as you can see, at least for 2014, this is the target that we have. We're talking about 240,000 fixtures in more than 40 sports. So obviously, it's very simple and easy, and it's all over the internet in 1 million sites to find who plays against whom on the Premier League and what time is the game. It's, you know, if I Google it, I'll find everything. But when it comes to doing the same thing for the second division in South Korea, for example, it gets more complicated, especially if you don't speak the language. And imagine African countries, Asian countries, South, North America. Imagine how many people you need with speaking how many different languages, so they're able to collect all this data. But also creating the fixture is one thing, it's just part of the job. It's also making sure that the starting time keeps correct. Because if we're talking, for example, about a tennis match, this might change 5, 6 times during the day, even more. Because if there's a match that keeps longer, then they move the next fixture on the same court. So what we do is we don't only make sure that the team names or the player names are correct, but also the starting time is correct. For a bookmaker, obviously, if you send a fixture that says it starts at 12 o'clock, it actually starts at 11. It's a complete disaster, because the fixture will be on, people will be scoring goals, placing bets, and you have no idea what's going on. If it starts instead of 12 at 1 o'clock, it's still not good, but it's better. If it starts earlier, then it's a complete disaster. So, and I said it's one thing. I mean, there's an argument saying that I have a team of 5, 10 people that do that for me anyway. If we go to bookmaker and present this tool, and our main argument is that even if you do this, then it's really hard to do it for 40 sports and all those fixtures. I mean, as you can see, just for soccer, we're talking about 400 leagues. So it's one thing to do it for the main European leagues, for the big sports, soccer, basketball, tennis, but going into detail on 40 sports, it's really hard. And we also guarantee I won't go into the commercial, but the price for this tool is very reasonable per month. So it's something that's worth acquiring from BetTrader, even if you're going to use it for 3 or 4 sports. But most of the bookmakers just use this completely as an XML feed. So this is the creation of the fixtures. It takes place in one of our offices in Gera, in Germany, and there is a dedicated team that their work is only to check the fixtures, check the federation sites. Obviously, throughout all these years, we have made a database of particular sources for particular leagues, which we always update depending on how good they are, those sources. So they're able to, using those sources, match the different sources and make sure that all the fixtures we have are correct. As soon as we're 100% sure, we send it through an XML feed. And as I said, most of the bookmakers, as soon as they have it from us, they just put it on the website directly. And on top of that, we also have a network of freelancers, journalists, of people who live in those countries. They speak the language, so in case we have any trouble, we have different sources saying different starting time for a match. We can always contact them and double check and make sure that the starting time we have is correct. This is the reason we're able and comfortable to offer 40 sports and 240,000 fixtures, because what we want to do in BetTrader is, if we send something through, we want to make sure it's 100% correct. Because if you start doing errors, then people obviously start trusting you, and it's a whole different issue. So next step, after you have created the fixture, as I said, obviously you need to offer some odds on this particular fixture. This is something that BetTrader does as well. As you can see, we're not just talking about 1x2 and totals. We're talking about a full offer. Not sure if you have been to, I'm sure you have, to a betting site lately, but if Arsenal play Manchester United, people don't just offer who wins the match and that's it. People will offer 80, 100, 120 different markets. They will offer betting about who scores first, the first half, the first 10 minutes, and this really keeps keeps getting bigger and bigger every day. Bookmakers have more and more requests because people want variety. They have it on their phones, they have it on their computers, so they want to have more. And also, what we try to do is offer obviously as many markets as possible, but the challenge here is to not just offer the market, but have correct odds for all those markets. And this is created through mathematical models. So what the team, again, in Gera in Germany do is they will price every single one of those fixtures, one by one. For different sports, we use a different operation. For the majority of sports, apart from ITF tennis and soccer, we have a person who will see what the teams have done, like on the previous fixtures, like some historical data, some statistics, and then they will set up a head-to-head market and a totals market. Head-to-head is who wins the match. Totals is how many goals scored or how many points scored, etc. And through those two markets and through the models, we will create the rest of the market. As you can see, we're talking about 150 different markets on all the sports combined. So fortunately for us, it's not a case of having to price every single market. This would really be impossible. But you need to price correctly the head-to-head and the totals, and then the rest comes through the model. Obviously, how correct are the rest of the market really depends on the model, which is not the responsibility of the person who's doing the compilation. And then when it comes to soccer, we have a model that as soon as you create the fixture, really does like sort of the same job as the odds compiler will do. Checks the historical data and checks the statistics, the form of the teams, etc. And they suggest in 1x2 in total, 2.5 for soccer, which makes our work much easier because as soon as you go there to do this compilation, you already have a suggested 1x2 in totals. So all you need to do is take this price, obviously do your own research on how what the teams have been done past few games, and also check what the rest of the market offers, if anybody has offered already the match. And if you do this, then it makes your job much easier. You have some comparison with the competition. You have a suggested price, you do some adjustment, and then the model calculates the rest. We avoid to be the first on the market because we're not a bookmaker. And the good thing, or the advantage of a bookmaker is they receive money, they see money, which we don't. So even if you have made an error on a price, and your customers will react. So if a team should have 180 as odds and you price it to 220, then suddenly you see a lot of people betting on this price. So it's a good indication that you have done a mistake. So this is something that we don't do because we're not a bookmaker, so we don't get money. That's why we really want to avoid be the first on the market. So we are one of the first on the market, but never the first. So even if we believe our price is correct, if we see everybody else offering a different price, then we obviously adjust. And then I'll move to odds suggestion, which is something that we do throughout the days before the match starts. This odds compilation takes place from 3 weeks before the event up to a day or two, depending on the competition, the sport, etc. And especially for ITF tennis, because we are the data providers, partners of ITF tennis. We have a group of people whose sole responsibility is to price ITF tennis. And this is the reason we're confident enough to be the first on the market for this particular competition. But again, because our idea is to offer, on odds suggestions, to offer what is very close to the rest of the market, not really a unique price that we believe is the correct one. As soon as more bookmakers open this particular match and they have a different price, we will move as well.
Do you do all tournaments in tennis? Do you do Grand Slams as well?
Yes, we do all the tournaments, yes. We cover more or less everything as much as possible. There are some competitions, some small tournaments that we're not able to offer.
Right.
But in general, what we try to do is to cover everything, obviously including Grand Slam and all the ATP tennis, all the big competitions.
Now, how do you manage to get the historical data for, let's say, football matches outside Europe? Because it's not very structured, like in Asia or Africa. Mm-hmm. It may not be documented correctly, or.
Well, that's the big advantage we have with being the partners of ITF. Right. We are in communication directly with the federation, and we are able, as as much as this is possible to get information about the tournament, when the matches take place, who is the referee, because we use them as data providers as well.
Okay.
When I go to live on next days. And when it comes to players on ITF or really small tournaments, that's obviously a very big challenge because we're talking about tennis players nobody really have heard of. They're semi-professionals or have only started, so it's really hard to get the data. But what we do is we keep the data in our database. So if they have played a match 6 months ago and 3 bookmakers were offering prices for this match, we will have it on our database. It is a challenge, but through using the historical data and the models makes the work much easier. But there's obviously a risk in all those really small events. There's obviously a very big risk of match fixing as well. We'll go into detail tomorrow or on Thursday.
I didn't use the word cricket yet.
Exactly. But it's definitely a challenge for it, but we try to offer a product that is as good as possible. But there's obviously a risk involved. That's why we call this product odds suggestion. So we can never guarantee that those odds will be 100% correct. But this is what we suggest, and this is usually what the rest of the market is close to offering. So this gives you an extra guarantee that at least if your odds are incorrect, at least they're very close to what the rest of the bookmakers offer. Now, apart from odds compiling, as I said, this process has the odds updates as well, which is done downstairs here in the London office. This is a semi-automated process, obviously, because it's impossible for a bookmaker, a trader, to keep track on all those 240,000 fixtures and make sure the odds are correct. So what we do is we have a model called Odds Creator. It's a mathematical model that collects the data from the rest of the bookmakers. And what we have done is we decide which bookmakers are important for each sport and for each competition. So, for example, when we go to soccer in England, we say that Ladbrokes is very important bookmakers because they are local, they really know the league, etc. So every time they move, they have a particular weight. So their movement is much more important than bookmaker in Germany, for example. And the other way around, if we're talking about a football league in Spain, the weight of a particular Spanish local bookmaker will be bigger than one in Georgia, for example. So through
so that's done through an XML feed that is coming from the bookmakers, or
yes, this is part of the product we call monitoring, which we'll see after lunch. But yeah, this comes through a feed or through web crawlers that all the bookmakers allow us to get their data. The reason for this is obviously for them to be able to monitor the market, as we said earlier. If you really want to monitor the market, you have to have your own odds there so you can compare. But yes, using this data, it's data that all bookmakers know that we collect, so we never really collect any data that any bookmaker doesn't allow us or want us to collect. Using this data, we're able to really be very close to what the rest of the market offers.
But does it also mean that you are able to see what each of the bookmakers are generating out of every event?
No, we don't have information about money at all.
So you know there are bets being placed, but you don't know the amount.
Well, we know that every time the odds move, there are really 2 reasons for the odds to move. Either because there are some news out that a good player has really been injured or is not playing or anything like this, so you know that this will affect the team, or because you have received money. Every time a bookmaker receives money, they have to move their odds so they can balance their books. So through the odds movement, we get a very good understanding of where the money is, but we don't really know any kind of information about how much they're making, etc.
Right.
So in a way, we know this information through the odds movement, but not the information itself.
Of course, we use also Betfair's and.
It's Betfair, because you can see the liability, you can see how much money are on each outcome. Betfair is an exchange where people put money, player against player, so you can actually see money there. So that's an indication, but at least nowadays most of the money are really on the big Asian bookmakers, not really on Betfair. So that's why, for example, when we're talking about big football competitions, for us it's very important to follow the Asian market because most of the money are there. But in the end, this is something we do by experience. So we have a team of very experienced traders. It's their job to understand which bookmaker is the most influential. Obviously, those settings on the auto trader is something we change all the time. Well, maybe a bookmaker was very good on the second division in Germany last year, but they're not that good this year. So it's our job to keep this updated. And what we try to do through this is make sure that the odds that we send to each bookmaker are not perfect odds for them, because we don't really send individual odds for individual bookmakers. We send the same odds to everyone, the same probabilities, and they apply their own margin. But we make sure that those odds are correct according to what the global market, where the global market is. And this obviously has two advantages for each individual bookmaker. It means that if the majority of the bookmakers out there are offering similar odds, means that according to the probabilities, at least those odds are very close to the actual probabilities of the event, of the outcome, which means it improves your overall winning margin. But also they're not involved on what we call sure bets. Because if you offer a very unique individual odds, and what we call sure bet is every time you place a bet on two different bookmakers or even on the same bookmaker, and no matter what happens, you will get a profit. So to explain it a bit, if we're talking about the tennis match, which is easier because it's either home or away, one of the two players, and assume that the probability of each of them to win is 50%, your odds will be even money, will be 2. So you place £100, if you win you get 200. So if the odds for that were 2.10 and 2.10, I can place £100 on both of them, and I will make £10 either side. So this is a sure bet, where I can place a bet, which means that I will get a profit regardless of what happens. So if you're a bookmaker, you don't really want to have sure bets, especially you don't want to have sure bets with your own self, because this means that you will lose money. But you want people to bet on the outcome depending on the odds you offer, not because they're making money through a sure bet. So this is something every bookmaker wants to avoid these days, and this is something you can have through these odds suggestions. We can guarantee that your odds will not be included on a sure bet, at least with the big bookmakers on the market. Obviously, we follow odds of over 300 bookmakers, and if somebody has made a mistake, you will be involved in a sure bet. But this is not very important for you as a bookmaker, because sooner or later you'll be involved on a sure bet, but you don't want to be involved in a sure bet with one of the big and established bookmakers. This is where you will get a lot of money on a particular outcome. And as a bookmaker, you want to have your book balance. You don't want to have all the money in Manchester United, because if they win, then you probably lose money. So that's the whole idea. So what we do with odds suggestions, we help bookmakers and let them know which are the sort of correct odds or most popular odds for a particular market. Then it's up to each of those bookmakers to decide what they want to use. There are bookmakers who take this XML feed and just use it as a reference. They never use the odds that we send them 100%. So they have their own teams, they have their own bookmakers, they create their own markets. Maybe they get the fixtures from us, maybe not. And they get those odd suggestions just to have an idea where BetTrader is, because it's always a good indication. If you as a trader say that this team should have 260 and BetTrader offers 120, there's obviously something wrong there. But it doesn't mean that you copy this 120, you just create your market and use this as a reference. There are other bookmakers who use basically everything we send them exactly as we send them, without really making any changes. Some very small minor, so they really depend on us 99% of everything. And there is a big number of bookmakers who use the odd suggestions, but just to a number of sports or a number of leagues. So earlier we offer 40 different sports. So you as a bookmaker might want to do your own tennis and soccer and basketball, because you have your own team, you're very confident with what we offer, you have your own tools, so you want to have full control on your odds, and obviously unique, because as I said, those odds are the same for every bookmaker. So if you have a bookmaker on your own country as a competitor who uses the odd suggestions, then sooner or later you find yourselves offering more or less the same odds. Which, if this is something you want to avoid, you want to take control and change those odds manually. But this doesn't stop you to use those odd suggestions for a sport that is not really popular, or you don't have anyone who is an expert, like handball maybe, or volleyball, or any of those 40 sports that we offer. So most of the bookmakers from experience, I know they do something in between. They use some of those stuff exactly as we said, and they never touch anything they offer. So this way it allows them to, market that we offer all those 40 different sports.
So if they change the margin on your backend,
Mhm.
they will receive your odds, but change it
Exactly. Every
competitors?
yeah, I will go through that in detail. But everybody can have their own unique margin. Margin is the theoretical profit of a bookmaker, which changes the odds a bit,
Right.
but the probability for everyone will be the same. So we send the same probability, and they apply their own margin. But obviously, if you have the exact same probability than a competitor, even if your margins are a bit different, sooner or later in one particular competition, you end up offering the same odds. So if you want to, there are some bookmakers who advertise themselves as unique bookmakers with their own team that offer unique odds, etc. So in this case, you really want to have control. But this doesn't stop you offering, table tennis directly from a trader, because you probably think people won't notice because there are not many people who offer this particular sport.
Is there any kind of a benchmark or any kind of standard that governs the betting companies in terms of how attractive can you make a particular odd? Because let's say Betfred wants to be really noticed in the market, and it could be a big marketing gimmick that they offer some crazy odds,
Mhm.
hypothetically.
Yeah.
How do you control in terms of to what extent a company could actually go
Mhm.
create attractive odds in the market just to get people onto the system?
Well, as BetTrader, as I said, bookmakers are not really able to control as much, meaning that the best thing they can do, the most extreme thing they can do, is lower their margin. The lower this margin is, it means the odds are higher because your theoretical profit is less. So the only thing they can do through BetTrader is lower their margin. So if everybody offers a margin of 5% or higher, they can put their margin to 3%, which means that on most of the cases they will offer best price on the market. But apart from that, if they really want to take control and do something completely unique, they can, as I said, use trading tools, monitor the market, and say that throughout the 5 days until the match starts, I will offer the best price in Manchester United to win. This is some tricks they can do. When it comes to odds, it's just probability, so it's statistics. So you can say that I think Manchester United has 50% chance winning, but one bookmaker might think they only have 40%. So in this case, they will offer lower odds for higher odds actually. So smaller the probability, higher the odds. But in the end, you don't really want to offer something completely different than everybody else as a bookmaker, especially as an online bookmaker, because you know that you just get too much money on those odds, and it's something you want to avoid. But in general, through BetTrader, the only control you have on those prices is the margin, nothing else. And obviously, which of those markets you're going to offer. Another thing you can do if people are sort of afraid or they don't want to offer 80 markets that we send through, and they just offer 20, then you can do something unique by offering more and more markets through BetTrader. It's something you can do. And then just on odd suggestions, to close this chapter, apart from odds, we can also send probability to bookmakers. So we don't really send them the odds, we just send the probability of the outcome. This is useful for bookmakers who have their own tools, create their own mathematical models, so they can even use our probabilities, input them into their own models, and then create again something unique, like markets that we don't offer, or different margins, etc. But this is really for a number of bookmakers who do have their own tools, who do have their own models, because it's something they need to create. For the rest of the bookmakers, this is something they cannot really use, because most of the things they changed, it's more or less manual work. You'll find out if you visit a bookmaker that some of them still use Excel sheets, where you have 1x2 on the top, and then through the models on an Excel sheet creates the rest of the markets. This is something they still do, but it's obviously very tricky to do it, and also you have to be very fast. If the market moves from 220 to 210 and it takes you 10-15 minutes to move to follow, then for those 20 minutes you just get a lot of money on those odds, because you're still higher than everybody else. So in general, those odd suggestions make the lives of bookmakers and traders much easier, with really fewer people, and with lower risk. You just manage your book much better. And even if, as I said, even if you have somebody who is very good on the Premier League and on the Championship in England, like really knows the market and have a very good understanding where the odds should be, it's really hard to find one person for each of those 40 sports and obviously different leagues. So this is something the BetTrader does for the bookmaker.
Sorry, question. You
Sure.
say we sell to bookmakers that use their own tools, probabilities. You mean that we've got different feeds?
It's the same XML feed, and we can on the same XML feed we can send just odds or just probabilities or both. It's up to them to decide. So if they can use it, if there's any reason for them to receive probabilities, then we can send it through the same XML
the
feed.
same XML feed, the structure of the feed, but
It's the actual same XML feed. So you get the ID of the match, you get the team names, and then the market. And on the market, you get 130 and you get 65% on the same line. Now, moving on to trading tools, this is something that we'll go through in detail later, but the whole idea of those trading tools is to give access to the bookmakers to more or less the same information that we have. So we say we will offer you odd suggestions. We make sure that those odd suggestions are very close to what the market offers, and we'll never get you involved on sure bets, or we never offer odds that are really away from everybody else. So we guarantee that your odds will be very close. But of course, since if you're a bookmaker, you want to have control, take control of some events, some leagues. So if you want to do this, then we offer you also trading tools, which is mainly supervision and monitoring, where you can check what the rest of the bookmakers offer in a particular match. And also through supervision, every time your odds are away from the market, you will automatically receive an alert telling you that you might have to check this because your odds are away from the market. Or another type of alert is on starting times, where it will tell you, you say that the match will start at 12 o'clock, but it actually starts at 11. As you can see, the key thing, at least for now, before we go into detail, it says the coverage includes more than 50 sports. So through trading tools, we don't just offer what we offer on the XML feed. So if you decide to offer a sport that BetTrader doesn't offer yet, like good example is cricket, for example, it's next sport we're going to offer. But if you're a bookmaker who wants to offer cricket, you can create the fixtures by yourself. But if from all those over 300 bookmakers that we have on trading tools, if 10 or 20 of them offer this match, you will still be able to see what they offer. So trading tools is definitely much more important and useful for sports and markets that BetTrader doesn't cover, or for markets and sports that each individual bookmaker has decided to offer by themselves. But it's definitely also a tool for them to check the quality of the odds that we send to them. Because it's obviously one thing to present this tool and tell a bookmaker, don't worry about it, we do a good job, just trust us and offer the market. But also we are able to give them the tools and tell them that you can rely on us on the odds, but also use trading tools to actually compare the odds we send you to your competitors and see actually how good they are for yourself. In order to be able to use trading tools, you need to send your odds back to us, either through an XML feed or through a web crawler. And obviously this is how we collect all this information from every individual bookmaker. Because if you send the odds back to us, then we'll be able to use those odds for our reference as well. And closing this circle with results, which is a very big challenge as well for every bookmaker. Going back to the information we collect about the fixtures and how we make sure that all the odd suggestions are correct, are very close to what the market offers. A very big challenge for each bookmaker is resulting. Again, going back to the most popular leagues and most popular sports, is something you can find very easily. On the internet, you also have live scores, you have many, really 1,000 different sources, so it's very easy to find the result for a Premier League match or a Bundesliga match, and you will also find it as soon as the match is over. You will know 100% that the score was 1-0. There's no doubt about it. You can find it in 1,000 different websites. Or obviously you can even watch the match on television and be sure by yourself, because you actually watch the match that is 1-0. So this is something easy. But again, going back to those 240,000 fixtures, it can get really, really challenging to find results, and also be sure that those results are correct for all those different fixtures. So this is something that BetTrader does through the same XML feed. We guarantee that if we're going to cover a fixture, we will also cover all the results. So if we offer 60 different markets for a particular fixture, including which player will score first, or which team will score first, or what's the correct score of the first half, then we guarantee that through the same XML feed you will receive results. And also those results will be correct. In 2013, the correct rate was 99.82% for all those thousands of fixtures, which means obviously there have been some errors, which is unavoidable. Sometimes the federations change the results afterwards, but it's mainly for results that are not on the main market. It's not really a case that we very often will have the final score of a match incorrect, but we might have incorrect the number of corners. So according to the particular federation site, the corners on the match were 8, but then after a day they changed it to 7. So in this case we have to send a correction to our clients as well. But the key thing with this feature is that at least most of those bookmakers are confident enough with the results that we send that they just do the settlement straight away. So they don't have to really check every individual result and every individual market, input it into their system and then do the settlement. As soon as they receive the results from us, they input it in the system and they do the payouts. And this is really a key for us because we can guarantee that all those 60, 80, 100 different markets that you offer will be settled directly from us, which saves you a lot of time. And also it's a guarantee that you don't have to worry about corrections on the results. The results will be correct, so you don't have to pay people by accident and then have to ask for the money back, etc. For an online bookmaker, this might be possible to get their money back, but imagine if you're in a shop, you have already known that you got your money, you walked away from the shop, it's gone. Yeah. A bookmaker will never be able to get that money back. So it's very important for all those bookmakers to make sure that all those results are correct. If you have to do this manually, then you probably need a very big team. You also need a team, again, that speaks different languages, are able to go into different websites according to the sport and the market. And it requires a lot of research to be sure that this particular source offers quick and reliable results. Yes?
No. The question was about fast, how long it takes.
Yes, this is another thing.
Just that 2 years ago, the Italian Federation certified the wrong result from the European qualification for the European Cup. Isole Faroe Island.
Yeah.
The result was 1-0 or 0-1, and
they had it the other way around.
Yeah, it was the other way around, and it was certified because they said, okay, it was wrong. And it's wrong for everybody in Italy, so you
have to pay out. Well, that's the problem with
sometimes with wrong results.
Yeah.
There is lots of
a regulated market is really a different kind of challenge because, like in Italy, the federation says that not the federation, the authority. The authority exactly say that you have to use the results that we send you. So if the results we send you, even if the results are incorrect because they come from us, you don't have to pay out. But really, this is a different story. When it comes to how fast those results are, that again really depends on the particular competition. If we're talking about big competition, especially if we offer the match live, we have a scout there or we're watching it through the television, so the results are really seconds after the match have finished. If we're talking about more obscure league sports, it might take 30 minutes, 45 minutes, up to an hour to send the results. Sometimes we were not 100% sure, we prefer to wait instead of sending the incorrect result. But this is the reason we're not able to offer more than those 240,000 fixtures yet, because if we're not sure, we might be sure about the fixture, we might be sure about the odds, but if we're not sure about the result, we avoid to offer it altogether. We don't want to offer something and say it will take 2 days for us to send you the results. So in this case, we prefer not to offer it at all. So we definitely prefer quality over speed, but we have certain standards. I mean, if we know that for this particular sport, for this particular competition, it will take 2 days to receive results, and there is a risk of 10% error, then we say we prefer not to offer this at all. That's why even though some of the bookmakers, some of our clients, obviously they keep asking for more sports, for more competition to be added to this tool, and we have to do a lot of research because before we're able to offer this competition. We have to do research to find reliable sources, make sure there is a good speed, and make sure there are no really a lot of errors on this league when it's being covered. And when we are 100% sure that the standards of all those sources are good enough, then we are able to offer this particular league. And going back to the odds suggestions, we don't offer the same amount of markets on every single football match, for example. The reason for this is mainly resulting because when the mathematical model works for a sport, it works for the whole sport. So we don't have a different model for the English Premier League and a different model for the, going back to South Korean second division. The football model is the same. So if one particular market works for the Premier League, it should work for the other competition as well. But the reason we might choose to just offer 5 or 10 markets for one particular fixture and 80 on the other is mainly resulting because we're not 100% sure, mainly when it comes to corners and bookings, like betting on those particular markets. If we're not 100% sure that we'll find good, fast and reliable result sources for corners, then we prefer not to offer corners altogether. This is not because we're not sure that the odds for the corners will be correct, but mainly because we don't want to delay when it comes to resulting. And in general, what makes this a very unique product and really a no-brainer for all the bookmakers is that you can get all of this on one XML feed in a very reasonable price per month. It saves you time, but also you reduce your risk compared if you do it manually. No matter how good your people are, they obviously can do a mistake. Good. Any questions?
Very clear.
Good.